see?
Oh, see?
Yeah, we just-
B-roll. It's fine.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. 86 podcasts, the or blah, 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 blah. 86 the podcast. Chef Mike Collantes here with Benjamin, our beverage director here at Soseki, and our special guest, Joel.
I've never been treated so specially. That's so nice.
This
Good
is
to be
part
here,
of
man.
this is part of every dining experience. You go through your omakase and then you have an hour-long talk with me afterwards. Yeah. It's a
Right.
special supplement charge.
I kept quiet during the dinner a little bit so I could save it for here.
I appreciate it. I mean, you have such an amazing story, but we're gonna dive into who you, the man, the myth of high-speed dining, to your experience here at Soseki, and you're doing a tour of Florida.
The state of Florida, 19 days. I'm hitting every single Michelin star restaurant, although one happens to be on vacation right now and ruined my perfect streak, but we won't tell anybody that. I just went through Miami in 8 days. I hit all, was it 10 Michelin star, give or take?
I want to say 10, and there's 4 in Orlando.
Yeah, I hit all 10 in a matter of 8 days, and did a day in Boca Raton, Port St. Lucie, 3
Nice.
nights with a friend, and then I'm here for 4 nights, and then 4 nights in Tampa. They don't have stars yet, but
I think you're
Well-
going to go to a couple potential ones.
yeah.
Hopefully.
And I used to go to the University of Tampa, so I love going back and seeing some friends, and you
So
know,
you're familiar with Florida.
a little bit,
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah, I love it down here.
How do you think? Do you think Michelin got it right here in the Florida? You know, they had to visit Florida, paid for Michelin, but you still got to do the work. You still have to have the restaurant that can produce, right?
It's hard to say they got it. I mean, so far every place I've been has certainly deserved it.
Fantastic.
Did they get it completely right? I can't say I've run into any places that have been wrong.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot more that you feel deserve it down here. Definitely will get more stars. I mean, that first book, I think they start a little cautiously, and then all the other restaurants perk up and they really get their stuff together, and
Exactly.
and you start getting a lot more people from out of town who have stars or want the stars, and everyone steps up their game. So so far, every place I've eaten has been great. In Miami, there were a couple of places that were super high-end, white tablecloth, really fine dining and tasting menus and fancy tweezer food.
Sure.
Then there were a few that were just incredibly laid back, bar atmosphere almost, and
Yeah.
they were fantastic a la carte stuff. And I like those a lot sometimes because if they're not super fancy and you're getting a star, you're clearly killing it with the food.
Food service, yeah. The program's obviously working. You're not, because there is that equation, right? That you do the napkins, you do everything, and then it's not like it's a given, but it's you're working toward it. So finding, I'm sure some diamonds in there or some gems.
Yeah. And so far, I've had 2 nights here in town, 2 meals of 2 of the 3 Michelin I'll be doing,
Fantastic.
missing out on the 4th. But your place, you're doing wonderful things. This was a really nice meal.
Thank you.
You know, modern omakase, well, what's so modern? It's, should just be sushi and one piece after the other. And here you were doing some interesting creative things, bringing in a lot of the local produce. And,
Right.
Normally everything's just flown in from Japan, and it's very much just that type of thing. But you're doing some creative, fun stuff. And,
Thank you.
The fact you even pick strawberries with your daughter and they serve them tonight, you wouldn't find that in
No,
most
yeah,
omakase
absolutely.
types of places. So.
It's definitely different. I mean, we definitely went out with just kind of figuring out what we're doing here on our own, on our own accord, and it's been a good experience so far.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. From the beverage program to the food, I think it's deeply personal, as most restaurants are, and we're just telling our story. So there's no not rhyme or reason. We have a formula, but it's definitely ever changing. Tonight was a lot of new dishes, and a lot of new pairings for this night.
How often do you change the menu here?
The crazy thing was our first year we had a crazy chef who's worked in, 300 Michelin starred. He just travels and works. And so he's worked in 300 Michelin stars throughout the world. He's literally left us and went to go backpack through Africa.
Oh, wow.
And so, he could not sit still. He Linea, El Tuo everywhere. And we changed our menu every 30 days. 18 to 24 courses the first year.
Wow.
And we haven't repeated a dish going into our second year in March. We haven't repeated a single dish. And we change it still within the seasons. I'd say we change a good bit monthly. And then there are times when we're saying, hey, Father's Day, let's just run a completely different menu because we're crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that first year with the 30-day menu change, we had we were learning what was seasonal, all the farmers, what they were into, what they were growing, what they could grow, what they couldn't grow, and it was interesting to see how we could play with that because especially with CJ coming from last job was in Portland, right? No,
Portland,
Yeah.
right.
he was used to proper seasons, I guess you will. So in July, we were offered Seminole pumpkins, and you're thinking, pumpkins in July?
Oh, right,
What's going
right.
on? That's supposed to be October. No latte yet.
Yeah.
But then we're getting beautiful strawberries and tomatoes in the middle of winter.
Like
you
this,
know, which is
a
so
little different from
amazing.
DC. What you're
Yeah.
used to in DC right now.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah, that's for sure. Wow. So a place that's got 10 seats, you can really control the atmosphere and,
Yeah.
and the whole experience. And
Yeah.
I think smaller places like this do have a better shot for stars and things just because you
It's just
can-
more controlled, and it's a smaller team, it's a focused team, but it's more controlled. So I think that's where fine dining is going. If we're seeing a lot of the staple restaurants closing down, it's just getting harder.
No doubt of that.
Noma, who else closed down this year? Manresa closed down, as well as Willow's Inn for whatever reasons. But ultimately, it's fine dining is just becoming a little bit less accessible in the sense of 300 covers or 180 covers or what have you. So,
Prices have gone up everywhere with everything. And
Right. But also,
Yeah.
I think this is just a really interesting experience to have. You saw it was just so casual.
yeah.
You could
yeah,
have
and-
this sitting at a bar, really.
And everyone was pretty friendly, it seems, with the people around them. And, I love the omakase experience. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of fun sitting at the counter. And you're very personable and friendly.
Oh,
and
thank you.
address not only individuals, but the whole room at some points. And
Right.
and it's a lot of fun for everyone.
We
I
try to
think it's-
engage, and some people are just there to have dinner, and so you pull back, or if people are a little bit more interested. But we just have everybody kind of Benjamin with the beverage program, Josh with the service program. Everyone's really in tune with their roles at the restaurant.
Well, you're doing fun stuff. And
Thank you.
it's kind of the opposite of my Michelin meal last night, which was fantastic.
Sure.
Had another one of your places in town,
Yeah.
fork and
Knife
or
and
kn-
spoon?
knife and spoon.
Knife and spoon.
I
Yeah.
get all the utensils mixed up sometimes.
Spork and
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah.
spork and chopsticks.
Spork and demi-tasse.
Yeah.
I just went a little crazy there. I think I ordered 7 things, and they were very nice and
Yeah.
upgraded my steak and
Oh,
extra
yeah.
stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I literally ate another meal with the leftovers, and I still have more for another day or two. But I can't go to a restaurant and not try a ton of things. You know,
Yeah.
that's the thing I love about my travels and what I do is I'll never go to a restaurant and try less than 5 things, even if you can't eat 5 things.
Absolutely, and that's why we wanted to have you on the podcast. We wanted to really hear, how you started in this. I mean, you're nearing 800, if not you've reached 800 on this
I'd
Michelin
say,
star restaurants.
On this tour, here I've cracked the 800 mark. High Speed Dining is the name of my show, my social media stuff. It kind of started, and I'll bring you through the history of it and how we got here.
Yeah, please.
But over 800 Michelin star meals on top of a gazillion other fine dining meals.
You're eating in between these courses, these restaurants, anyways, too, right? Yeah,
It's been crazy, and it started back in 2017, or sort of Michelin came to DC. I think in 2016 it may have been, but it gave me an excuse to get out of the house. I've been working from home since 2009, 2008, and I just had to get out more. And fine dining really made me happy. I'd sit down to the restaurant, and I don't have a problem in the world. So I really started enjoying getting out and eating, and just had a great time with it. And it just got more and more. In 2017, I ate 500 mostly fine dining meals around America. I'd go visit someplace or for work a day or two in LA. I'd stay a week and just start going out a lot more. And I think in 2016 was probably, or 2000. I get confused. That's the whole thing too. There's so much going on, but there was 350 meals the year before that, and I think it was 2019 then, and I I just said, I'm going to do 500 again. And I ended up doing over 600.
Wow.
Just because, you're on the road. I was doing a lot of 3-a-days at restaurants. First seating, noon lunches, and then first seating for dinner, last seating for dinner. Just doubling down. I walked 10 miles a day between all my meals. And that didn't start, that really picked up in the pandemic when we're all just stuck at home. And it was about just getting out, burning off things, and just seeing the world, making sure it's still out there and alive.
During the pandemic, you were still eating Michelin star restaurants, just in a different way, or were
A
you?
lot of takeout. In fact, I've gone over 3 years now. I've eaten restaurant food for every single meal since, every meal, period. A lot of takeout, but a lot of dine-in. The golden age of takeout is what the pandemic brought along.
Yeah.
It may not be the best bottom line for restaurants, but it became incredible for the customers and consumers.
It did.
And when the pandemic happened, media said, "Oh, half the restaurants in America are going to close." I freaked out. I didn't want my favorites closing, so I did what I could to support. And the first 25 meals I ordered, I tipped $100 every place. Just thank you for doing what you do. You're bringing me sanity in these crazy times. And so it got crazy, and I just started eating out more and more and dining. When I could get back out, I did, but it was just tons of takeout food, which to this day I'm still doing. When I'm on the road, it's usually 2 a day.
But you're getting the experience of a restaurant and chef in a takeout experience too, which is like a completely. I don't think we do like 18 individual boxes of.
No, we tried. That didn't work.
yeah.
The go omakase didn't work. Yeah.
But
we'll
we
figure it out,
opened during the pandemic, and and everyone's a little crazy to have a 10-seat restaurant. Luckily,
We started with 6.
We started with
spaced.
6.
And,
Yeah.
did a lot of
all
precautions.
those precautions, but in the middle of pandemic to open up a 10-seat restaurant was nuts. But we stayed the course when we should have served takeout or not do multi-course or not do the number of courses we were doing. We just stayed the course until it started making sense. And when Michelin was announced, it was even more like, okay, I think we're on the right path.
Had you had history with them at your other restaurants? Because they love to give people who have had stars and worked in these places.
No. I mean, I've worked for a lot of chefs that's gained Michelin stars, but I think myself and Ben, like, we're the ones with the most experience on the team, and then we just kind of figured it out with the crew, and it's been great to say, hey, there is no roadmap to Michelin. We're figuring it out on our own and on our own rules. So that's how it came about here.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
If I had lived in town, I would have probably been here a dozen times over the period you've been here and followed the progression and watched the growth factor.
And you're based in D.C.
Washington, D.C., where we've had Michelin
amazing restaurants there
for a little while now, and just the city's blown up with food. And I've been very, very lucky to experience these places, watch them grow. Some of them grow, and I call myself the Michelin Whisperer because of the other places I went to. 20 times before they got a star.
Before they know, right?
So did you see a change? So you were in DC. You were living there prior to Michelin, right?
Yeah,
and then saw Michelin
2001.
come. So did you see a lot of change from when Michelin was announced for DC, and then what the first restaurants to earn a star or two, and then kind of subsequent years after that?
More places. As soon as they came, everyone was worthy of it at the time, and then just a lot of places really stepped up their game. When you have places that are rated so high and have the award, you now know where to go to see what's the right things to do. And
exactly.
So I think it really started training other restaurants. And, there are a few places in town that some people travel a lot. Like you mentioned earlier, you've been to Jaunt in Brescia.
Right. The team just recently went to dine there. Ryan Rotino. He's actually Chef Ryan from Jaunt is spent time here in Orlando training, and so I think he's from here.
Wow.
And so we connected and came to dine, and then the guys went up there to eat as well.
That team does a lot of traveling around the world and whatnot to understand what's out there. And I think most restaurants don't have time and the money to go travel and see things and learn what are the things to do and how do we improve and not copy ideas, but just understand what works.
And so when it opens up, it's a great training and a great experience for people in the industry to see and to kind of just even measure themselves of where they want to be too.
And with Jaunt, they got 2 Michelin stars out of the gate. I was the very first customer they served, first meal, and it's not even been 2.5 years they've been open. I've been there 14 times. There's almost half the restaurants in DC. I've been the customer that's been there the most.
Yeah.
Places are like, you've been here 10 times. We're so happy to have you and so glad. I'm like, if you only knew I've been over there 40 times.
No, that's funny.
It's been a wonderful thing. And so that's where traveling the country has just been a lot of fun too, to be able to see all the different things. And
you're not. I mean, this is it. You're not doing anything else. You're a profession before being a professional Michelin diner is what?
My background, it all started with a DJ and radio. I bounced around a little bit, and I got my start here in radio and interning in Tampa at the station, but Buffalo, New York, Fort Wayne, Indiana. A couple other places, but I ended up in Washington, D.C. working for XM Satellite Radio, which ultimately merged with Sirius XM. I was brought in to run 2 stand-up comedy channels. So I'm literally the first person to do programming for uncensored comedy nationwide.
Wow.
And I spent 8 years there building these channels and doing something that never existed content-wise. They had no idea what comedy was all about and how to program it. And out of the blue, from the start, we had one of the top 5 channels on the entire network.
Amazing.
And they were a music-free network, except spoken word and comedy. We had a commercial. So all of a sudden, we're one of the top income-making channels at the network. So it was exciting stuff. And I used to work with a lot of comics, recording and producing albums and CDs and stuff for their personal use along the way. I've done albums or recordings, at least, for guys like Kevin Nealon, Frank Caliendo, Louis C.K., Gabriel Iglesias. There were a lot of guys. There was a time with Gabriel Iglesias, 3 years in a row, I would record him somewhere in the country for a set of shows, whether it was San Antonio, Denver, or D.C., for 3, 4, 5 nighs, and then he'd fly me out for Christmas, and I'd stay at his place, and we'd produce albums on his couch. And
that's before the Netflix specials and all that.
Before that, I mean, Gabe is the king now, and
now
he's doing the stadium. I mean, it's incredible.
Selling out stadiums is crazy.
It's been pretty wild to have been a part of that, and it really just helped me learn the editing and a lot of the behind the scenes type of things, which have helped me now with my recording and producing videos and stuff. But my years at XM were fantastic, really learning the comedy world. And that's how I look at what I do now with doing videos, is I'm just DJing food.
Right.
The restaurant's my stage, the food are my props. And, I wish I could be funnier, but my first thought is getting the right angle, getting the right shot, focusing on the shot. You can tell me what food we just ate, I will have no idea what you just told me, because I'm just so freaking focused.
So in the
and then I'll worry about trying to say something and be entertaining or whatnot.
Yeah.
And but my background, I think, did a good job helping me get to this point. And
that background. So tell me what's the setup for high speed dining? Do you have a team behind you? What's the
This is it. Every year there's a new iPhone. I buy a new iPhone.
That's it.
I have 2 of them with me now. One's the last year model. One's the current one. But outside of my girlfriend, who she's my social media manager for Instagram.
Okay.
And she does incredible stuff with that.
Which is the platform you primarily use? Is Instagram
and TikTok.
Right.
I'm up to, at this current moment, 83,000 followers on Instagram and 932,000 on TikTok.
Wow.
That's one I handle myself entirely. But I record everything. I produce everything as far as the videos. The captions and whatnot, and adding incredibly fun and entertaining things to the Instagram stuff. My social media manager, which we're going to officially call her. She's fantastic, does great stuff, and she really has blown up that account. But with TikTok, it's just been me recording and producing and doing everything. I mean,
That's amazing.
you saw me tonight in the restaurant.
Oh yeah. And you put content out fast.
I was shocked at how well the content is on. Not shocked at how it was
Yeah.
produced, but when you watch your videos, and then actually seeing you in action of how like non-intrusive you are to the
Yeah,
whole dining, I was like, all right, we're gonna have 10 people. What's gonna happen? Is it gonna be no? And like the way you were talking, and it was just amazing. Like you didn't even notice.
Little
Didn't even
lapel
notice it was
mic.
happening. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. Even the light, nothing was like intrusive to the other guests.
That's been the wonderful thing I've been able to pull off. And, you know, when I book tours and things and hit up restaurants, they're like, no big cameras. And everyone assumes I have a
Assumes you-
camera team. And, you know, God bless me for being, I mean, I'll pat myself on the back for this, but I'm wearing 5 hats. You know, I'm doing the work of a lot of people. I am putting out a ton of content incredibly quick. I'd like to think it's higher level than most other people. I appreciate everyone and what they're doing. Anyone who makes a living doing this and has fun with it, God bless them. But I'd like to think I'm doing things on another level. It's most people, this is probably their first, in social media, it's probably their first entertainment career and job and things. And for me, it's just the next step and stage of a big career. Because there also is 10 or 15 years since my radio days where I produced a lot of comedy content and whatnot that I sold on iTunes and things like that.
Yeah.
But I like to say I'm creating Michelin star quality videos of Michelin star quality restaurants. You know, I consider myself an artist, not a digital content provider.
Yeah.
You know, if an artist, a painter, is putting out videos of his paintings, you don't call him a digital content creator. You call him a painter who's good with marketing. You know, and that's what I like to think I'm pulling off now. Is just that this is art. You're the artist. I'm just putting a frame around it. And because I have a background in comedy where I used to record comics, but I just couldn't record a Gabriel Iglesias show and go put out my own album.
Right.
So, but I can come here and record your art and put out my own videos. I think that's a crime, you know. But so I really respect you, the artist, the whole team. I respect
appreciate that,
incredibly
yeah.
well, and you know, in general, don't take this the wrong way. But when I'm at a restaurant, obviously the chef is the most important person. It's what it's all about. But I'm a simple man. Whoever's handing me the food and taking my order is the most important person at the restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the dog in front of the butcher shop. Who throws me the bone? That's the one I love. And
There's a reason why my name's not on the front door. You know, it's not chef. You know, it's just the restaurant. You know, no. So I mean, let's talk a little bit more about where your experience is currently. Like, what's the exciting city for you right now?
Any city I'm in is incredibly exciting because if I've never been there before, you're discovering new things. You know, I walk after every meal. I walk 10 miles a day in general. So I get to discover the cities and see the sights. And sometimes you don't want to see some of the sights. And some of the major cities are, you know, you see homeless problems and things like that. And but you also really experience and see sights. Anyone can send out a cameraman and shoot some B-roll. But you know, I'm seeing everything and
Experiencing it,
and just learning about cities and the layouts and stuff.
What was the one that was like just more surprising that you're?
Well, when you go to a city that you're expecting big food and good food and things, it's wonderful. You have a great time. It's out of this world.
Right.
When you go to a city that you have no idea about, or it's really small and you get great food, that's magical. Like I just did a crazy tour of New England this summer, where in a 73-day period, I did a tour of about 13 states or 12 states in D.C., West Virginia, everything north and east.
Oh wow.
So there were 3 legs, and I've been to Boston. Great time. I love it. Wonderful food city. Incredible stuff.
You expect it to be a great food.
You expect it. You know, I went to some of my favorites from previous trips and a lot of new ones. You know, going back to Portland, Maine, you go to some of the, you know, it's wonderful. It's a great city. But I had never been to Providence, Rhode Island. I was blown away by how good things are. These 100-year-old Italian restaurants, 100 years old. I mean, it's holy cow, and you're still nailing it? God bless you guys. I hit Woodstock, Vermont. 1,000 people live there. But I found a great resort with high-end food. It was fantastic, you know. That was a wonderful situation, a really fun thing. I went to Manchester, New Hampshire, and had a couple of great meals. I found a steakhouse that did prettier steak courses than, surf and turf, nicer looking than most places I've ever been.
Yeah.
From the big cities. It was great. A lot of people, the young people there on staff know me from TikTok, and then the older people will know me from Instagram. But between them all, it's TikTok. Instagram has made me very popular.
Right.
TikTok has made me a star in some of these places, know. And
Do you get recognized like right away?
it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely in the
Probably by
restaurants.
the
and on
voice
street.
first, I think.
I think it's these silly little glasses, like I used to wear contacts all the time, but then my girlfriend kept saying, stop sending me foggy photos, the photos that just look blurry. And I'm like, they're not blurry. Turns out I took out the contacts. I'm like, they're blurry. Yeah. And so I just got into glasses. I like little ones so I can look under and see my phone and not have to always take them off. And they stand out. I don't know. But it's just been great exploring and traveling and finding new places and trying new things. And I can have as much fun eating a burger at a restaurant as a 10
pretty
course,
much got
20 course
you
meal.
got the dream job. I'm sure a lot of people are pretty, but it's a job still. So when people think, "Oh, you're going out to have dinner," you want to experience it. But you're experiencing
The
it.
work, but you could see how professional you are with the work.
Yeah.
And how it comes like naturally through you. And yeah, it's really.
I take
it
great
is
pride in
amazing.
that, and I'm hoping for a bigger platform down the road. I
Yeah.
mean, like I said, there are a lot of people on social media who are really popular in things, but I don't think, I'd love a show or some bigger network.
Yeah.
Because who better to take people around America to either Michelin cities or not? I've heard of people maybe hitting Miami or hitting Orlando or Florida, but who's hit the entire state, you know, and like nailing so many different meals. And that's part of what high-speed dining is about is high-speed dining, the name, I'll give you a little history on that.
Yeah.
Right now, I like to say high-speed dining is I show you a 3-hour meal in 30 seconds, or at least 30-second clips. It makes sense. That's legit.
Right.
It also means I hit a city and I speed dine all the high-end places quicker and more than anybody else would too. When this all began, and right now I am clean. I have never cursed on Instagram. I only drink sparkling water everywhere. It's just what I do naturally. So you've never seen alcohol. I've replied to tens of thousands of comments. I've never used a curse word. I'm family friendly. And I learned that partly because back on my XM comedy days, my satellite radio days, I ran a clean and a dirty comedy channel. And the people on the clean channel made 10 times the money, not because they were better, but because there was less content for the clean channel.
Yeah, it's true.
So they were getting played a lot more, and they paid the same amount, whether you're on the most popular or the least popular channel. So I wanted to be clean, but high-speed dining was really all about getting high on legal marijuana and fine dining. That's what this was all about. I used to get high as can be, travel the country, and just eat my brains out. I haven't gotten high much, if at all, I should say, in the last year and a half, 2 years. TikTok, totally clean. And I'm a better person for it. I feel better. My body doesn't allow it. I've got issues that just screws with me. I wish I could. I wish I could drink. I wish I could do it all. But I've made the best of my situation and where I'm at. And I've never been happier for it.
That's so. I don't think anyone knows that deep cut about your series.
I was wondering because of the way it's spelled, but I didn't want. I was like, no, that can't be.
Yeah. So I used to wear. It used to be my old slogan was "Stoner approved." Like every restaurant, "Stoner approved."
Yeah.
And I would get high, and kids don't do drugs, but I used to get high in front of every restaurant. So I would do a hit, blow it in front of the sign.
No way.
And then go in. And then I used to have a thing where I would leave my table, walk with my camera facing me, doing through the restaurant. So long, see you. Walk right outside in front of the sign, seamlessly pull my pen out, do a hit, and blow it while the name of the restaurant's behind me. And so it would shoot a perfect shot. And I have hundreds of these videos.
Yeah,
recorded.
I was gonna say how many? How
Are
how
they
many-
posted?
yeah.
I've taken them all down because I've been trying to clean up my act.
Yeah.
Will you post a video of me getting high in front of your restaurant? You're not going to share it.
Do you
No.
feel like now that you're maybe in the beginning you did that, now you're going to these really prestigious places, that you've now made relationships with? Did that kind of change a little bit of the perspective of of doing that?
No,
No.
nobody cared. Everyone has loved me because I
Yeah.
support them and do good
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
I mean, your meal was relatively filling tonight. It was a good solid portion,
Good.
but I could have eaten two of them just
Oh,
because that's just how crazy I am.
You're nuts. Yeah,
And
yeah.
would I have been overly stuffed? Yeah. And that's why I would have walked 4.5 miles back to my hotel room and not felt guilty about it, And it's why my friend I hung out with for a few days put on 10 pounds in like 2 days just by hanging out with me. So, I still eat like I'm high as can be.
Right.
But I have a lot of parents now telling me they watch my videos with their kids, and
cool.
it's introducing people of all ages to fine dining. And
Yeah.
if somebody made a comment to me that I've done my social media accounts done more for Michelin restaurants than any social media account out there. Period.
Wow.
Plenty of people are going out to restaurants, but I'm really here to represent you and
Yeah.
and do good. And
You're giving your experience at dining. I mean, most people wouldn't be able to go to as many restaurants as you're going to, but also it gives them an insight if it's even worthwhile. When you're committing, the money that it takes to dine at these places.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
if something is bad, I'm not going to post it.
right.
And it's happened a couple of times recently, and a new chef at a restaurant, a big steakhouse in D.C., the carpaccio, they just took a steak and sliced it up into like big chunks. It's like, this isn't carpaccio. How can I promote this? The burger was all buns and I was just sitting at the bar and the guy told me that the new chef just wouldn't take direction, and
geez.
and then they just invited me in to come try our restaurants again. And I'm going, you know what?
We'll wait.
know.
We'll give it another shot in a couple months or something.
We'll wait. But it's I only say good things and positive things. I'm not going to lie and say your restaurant
Right.
that sucks is good, but what's the definition of good to somebody who's never been to a great restaurant?
Right.
Olive Garden is a good meal to most people that don't eat out.
And it doesn't all have to be
Right.
small, petite, little multi-course bites. I mean, you
Yeah.
really go after all of them. What are your top? What's some of the top favorite restaurants or in your memory? I know you've got a lot, 800 to come from, but in recent memory that you're like they're really just slaying it. They're really doing a great job with their program.
Obviously, any 2 and 3 Michelin star restaurant in America is just doing something special. They've all got their own unique personality, and they're doing something interesting. And again, we should say when I do 800 Michelin meals, it's repetition at a lot of places.
Right.
But
We always say like 1, 2 stars, or even a restaurant going after it's attacking, and at a 3-star level you're like defending. And
Yeah,
so it's a little bit different experience of some place that's been open for 10 years compared to like 2 years. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, you have places like a Per Se or French Laundry that
Tried and true. Yeah.
it's just the perfect high-end white tablecloth meal, and they destroy you in a good way with the desserts with several S's on
of
that.
course.
It's just out of this world, crazy. And you remember that. You've got a place like Benu in San Francisco that's. Did I just eat that? I ate a rabbit head there. What? I just ate the sperm sac of a codfish. I said, what? It was one of those types of meals that
Yeah, unforgettable.
Whoa.
For sure.
You've got, I think it's single thread. They start you off with maybe upwards of 20 different things for the opening round. Holy cow, shock and awe, and you remember these things. A lot of places that's what the 2 and 3 stars are all about. And even
Right.
a lot of these great ones. I mean, as far as those individual meals, I have a great time everywhere with everything.
Right.
And I find the good in them all. And so, like, I've got a place back in D.C. We were chatting earlier about
Sure.
like Fiola. It's a 1-star Italian. I feel they deserve 2, and I ended up having a 5-hour and 45-minute meal there a couple of months ago.
There's no
And-
threshold for you. Like, because there's meals that take 5 hours, 4 hours. I think we get a little nervous. We're like, oh man, anything.
Pushing
past-
too- yeah.
Everyone
pushing
else
too.
in that restaurant would have been tonight, if this went too long, would have been like, I got places to go, babysitters to get to.
Right.
Never
You're-
married, no kids. I've got freedom. I've got the money to spend, and I've got the energy to
Yeah,
to
you're
use
an
towards it.
anomaly. You're not the
sure.
regular diner.
No, and I am crazy with what I do.
Yeah.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. What I do is insane, and in a good way, and I'm very happy about it. But it's nuts. If there wasn't social media, we'd have to question what I do. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm on a mission to get bigger, better, and tell a better story than most people.
I mean, we love it.
Is there a dish? So now that you've said you've traveled and you're eating everything out, right? 3 meals a day has been
Or a lot of
on travel,
takeout, but
right? A lot
yeah,
of
but
takeout.
it's cooked by a chef.
Is there a dish you miss, like home cooking, like a home cooked meal? Some
Nope.
dish? No,
Not at all.
not at
Yeah.
all. All right,
Uh,
heard.
I make a lot of cereal, or at least there was in the day. I used to eat a lot of cereal. I still sneak a bowl in every now and then, but no, I mean I really don't miss much at home.
Yeah.
I was never a great cook. I can boil and broil, and I make a lot of good proteins and keep it pretty simple when I did cook. I mean it's 2019, and winter was my last cooked meal I made at home.
Really?
My mom, wonderful woman, but cooking wasn't her thing. She was
yeah.
busy, raising kids and working and doing great things. I didn't discover great food until later in life, like when I could really start affording it in my older age. And I used to be a big drinker. I used to like my microbrews and everything. I used to roast like coffee and make. I was an absolute fanatic about alcohol, coffee, marijuana. Those are my things. And once I quit, due to medical issues ringing in my ears and some things, it's been almost 9 years of no alcohol, over 15 years avoiding caffeines, not drinking coffee. And, I used to be a tell me when it's the last call for food kind of guy because I was busy drinking.
Right.
Now I can't do anything on an empty stomach, and so I have never knew how much fun and how good I'd feel by being healthy and, keeping it just to the waters and things. I always justify my current situation by saying, it's not just a prop. I used to justify my situation by saying if you've got 9 other people in here tonight and everyone's drinking something different, they're all tasting something different.
Yeah.
They're really not tasting exactly what you want and how you're fully preparing it. So I like to say, well, I'm the only purist in the room, and I'm the only one tasting it exactly as chef wants it. And
luckily, it's a good combination between us. Yeah. What
Yeah.
about, let's say, your fantasy final meal, but you had to choose your courses from the places you've been?
well,
Where would you start? Where would you end? What would be your main?
I've been asked this a
Yeah.
few times on
Yeah.
social media. Last meal, where would it be? Hooters. Just who wouldn't want a
Chicken
good,
breast,
fun-
hold the chicken. Yeah,
That's my jokey joke.
yeah.
But I mean, it's my brain doesn't work with certain specific things. Like I can remember an incredible gnocchi dish or an incredible potted chocolate pudding dessert. I had it in Montpelier, Vermont.
Right.
Like it stands out. I'd have to think about it. If I went through my videos and saw things, I could sit here and repeat stuff like, the Rain Man, just like, oh yeah, that's definitely incredible. That was so good. It was so fluffy and delicious. I mean,
Yeah.
I can have the things relived and brought back to life if I'm actually seeing the photos
Do you
and
feel
videos.
do you feel like you're getting a different experience because you dine in so many places, and then it's not? It's a little different that you're for pure enjoyment.
I'm spoiled 100%. I'm definitely eating way too many good meals all the time. I mean, I can appreciate a lesser meal, but because I'm shooting video, I think that's screwing it all up more than anything.
Right.
Because by the time I take all my photos and videos and do all my prep, I mean, I've got about 22 terabytes of content that I've recorded over the last few years, really. And I take pride in just building this massive
Right.
library. So by the time I get to food, the hot stuff is medium warm. The cold stuff, ice creams will often be, partially melted. So I'm not appreciating things as good as it can be.
You ever just shut it off and just like enjoy the meal?
No.
You can't.
Only
You feel guilty.
I
You're
took-
like, I need the content.
I
It's this like I need the content.
Yeah, and it's not even that I need the content. I need to document the content.
Yeah.
I joke that I don't have to go out for 2 years right now, and I could put out a video every single day
Yeah.
of something that I've got recorded.
Right.
I paid a pretty price for this meal. I'm documenting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get really upset. Masa in New York City is about the only restaurant in America that doesn't let you take photo
Does
or
not,
videos.
yeah.
And it's the most expensive meal in America. That's the one you want to document the most. How dare you? But what are you hiding? It's what are you hiding that's so incredibly secretive? I mean, and I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's a wonderful experience. It is a little more expensive than a sushi meal should cost.
Spend a little time working for the
Is
man.
it 4 times better
Yeah.
than what you serve me tonight? Based on the price, probably not.
Okay.
I'd
Well,
rather have
that's-
4
yeah.
of your meals. Right? I'd rather have 2 of your meals. So it's just, I don't shut it off. At some point, I'm going to snap. At some point, I will just be like, we're done. Like Forrest Gump when he jogs the back and forth. At some point, I'm going to go, I'm done. I'm not there yet. I want my story to be told in a bigger sense.
Yeah.
Because I really am doing something pretty crazy and fun, and I've been helping out restaurants. I haven't monetized this.
Yeah.
I've done one ad that was for Open Table, and when you have 960 reservations made through an app like that, it makes sense to partner up with them in some way.
Right.
It was a small thing, but in general, I'm doing all this for the love and for the joy and purely to make me happy. And I take a lot of pride in making you happy and
Absolutely.
showing this off. I was in Port St. Lucie a couple days ago, 2 days ago, and I ate at an Italian restaurant. It's really high up in the rankings on TripAdvisor, and not that they're the be-all, end-all of ratings, but people obviously like them.
Right,
and
of course.
I booked a reservation there. My reservation bio says, 1 million followers, TikTok, Instagram, 800 Michelin meals, traveling the country. The chef sat down with me for an hour and a half and just chatted and talked. And it's a family thing. So the wife and daughters and everyone's
that's
there.
awesome.
And he goes, I'll be honest with you. When I read this, I had a panic attack. What the heck are you doing coming here? You eat Michelin meals. And the guy served a great meal. It was wonderful. And he shocked and awed me with an opening platter that was just, my friend was with me, thank God. There was food for days off of just the opening platter. But it was wonderful. And I talked Instagram and social media, how they can do better. And I just love talking and sharing and trying to help people and tell my story and
You
things.
think you get overfed?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
I get a little extra treatment. I pay for all my meals. I'm like the
You do.
anti-influencer because an influencer basically, I will promote you if you give me free stuff.
With this massive light and this coming in
Those
there
d-
with the
yeah.
intrusiveness, but you're very low key, of course. Yeah.
But I definitely get to try extra things. I've gotten to try a lot of stuff that's not on the menu yet, and a lot of places will ask my feedback because I'm not a yes man. I mean, off camera, I'll tell you the truth if there's some things needed. And so it's been very nice, and it comes back in the tip. You give me free, some free food, your staff is going to appreciate the extra tip. So something I want to bring up, it's my hand. Born without fingers when I was 2 or 3. They gave me mobility and things, and I've used it to my advantage with my camera. That's why you see crazy angles in my videos and things with a little bit of a
a little pop out.
pop out the handle. I'm able now to do crazy movements with my camera that you really just can't sort of do with a normal camera.
Yeah.
So I've been able to I literally say I make the best with the hand I've been dealt with in life, and I think it's really improved what I'm doing,
yeah.
and that's why when you
It's
watch my
meant to be.
videos, you're seeing some really different things.
Yeah.
And
Interesting camera angles. I mean, a lot of things I haven't seen, even like watching you do your thing and now doing media. It's like, oh, I never thought about that. It's like, you know what I mean?
it's weird. I was showing you the rabbit cam, where you put the camera down so you see the food coming with big breads. I like to do that.
Yeah.
And because I wear a mic, you get the crunches coming through really well. And so I just wanted to point that out because I'm sure by this point, I used to do stand-up comedy I was never that good, but at least it allowed me to get to program stand-up comedy on a higher level. Never that good, but when I get on stage, you know, they'll, hey, look at his hand. The whisper stuff started coming out, and I'm sure by this point on camera, people have, you know, probably noticed. And, you know, I'm very comfortable with myself and who I am, but I do like to, I might as well address it just in case we don't get to it.
Yeah. No, well, thank you so much for coming out, coming to eat, doing what you're doing for the community. I mean, I think Michelin or not, just what you're doing for restaurants and food and the exposure, it's just fantastic, man. It's just fantastic.
Well, I've never had a better time, and so I really appreciate it. And you know, it's an honor to have been here tonight and do your podcast, but to be able to do it after trying your great meal. So
we want to hear all the notes. I'll get the tissues. Get chef's tissues, please.
Post shift.
No, we're just so appreciative. I mean, and coming to Orlando, we've got some cool recommendations for you for sure to check out while you're here. But definitely check out Joel High Speed Dining, TikTok, Instagram. I think you should get on. You need to get on YouTube, and I want to see a book. I think you have to do a book. I mean, I think it'd be amazing.
I am on YouTube, and my website, highspeeddining.com, gives a lot of links and a little more information. A book would be great, but there's a lot of things I want to do, I can do physically and skill-wise.
Right.
I just don't have the time. I'm always moving forward.
Right.
You know, I've got 2 meals tomorrow coming up. How much time do I spend on the meal tonight that I just
let's
shot?
get Joel an intern. We need an intern. If you're gonna feed him, I'm sure there's a lot of literally hungry interns out there. But thank you so much for coming out.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
absolutely.
Nice to be here. You're doing a good thing. This room, it's a beautiful, massive stage on that side, and this is just the back corner of this big, huge chandelier type of room. So you've established it very nicely.
Do you see the mop bucket that's by my feet? Yeah.
I thought I kicked that away. Sorry. Yeah.
Awesome.
Much success to you, both in front of and behind the chef's counter and back here doing your podcast. So
appreciate it.
Very cool stuff.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Check you guys on the next podcast.